We good, Lisa? We'd like to welcome everyone to our South Weber City Council. It's Tuesday, September the 24th, 2024, and it's 6 p.m. We'll begin with a pledge of allegiance by Councilman Dills and a prayer by Councilman Halverson.
Please stand to repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee this evening, we're so very grateful that we can gather here and as members of our community and members of South Weber City. Father, we ask for Thy Spirit to be with us, that we may be able to discuss the matters at hand, that we may be able to make wise decisions and to keep in mind what we're elected for and why we're here, and that we are here to improve the community and to make the best decisions we can. Father, we're thankful for the country which we live in and for our armed forces and for the freedoms we experience. We're thankful for our firefighters and our police department. We ask Thee to watch over and protect them all, that they may return home to their families in safety. Again, we thank Thee for all that we have, and we say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we'd like to excuse Councilman Davis this evening. We'll begin with public comments. If you have a comment, we'd ask that you come up to the microphone, state your name and your city, and we'll allow you 3 minutes for your comments.
Paul Sturm, South Weber City. My comments tonight are a follow-up from my comments made on the 10th of September concerning the RDA meeting. The page is being resubmitted. Please note the different green color on page 2 of the packet. The one parcel that I had identified as possibly not being in the study area is actually in the study area itself, because it is a different color. It showed up as a different color of green in the packet. If you take a look at the legend color of green is significantly different from the actual survey area color green. And the last point is parcel, the 13,733 appears to be a different color of green from the legend for survey area, but later found to be the same on a different background. Anyway, this is just to clarify and my prior comments and to update the facts. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Anyone else? Okay, our first item then, we have a presentation that Chief Tolman would like to present, so we'll turn the time to him.
So tonight's presentation is to thank Winterton Towing for always being willing to donate cars for us to cut up and burn. And why it's such a big deal is this is something we don't have a good way to fake. We're really good at faking medical trainings. We're really good at faking fires and pulling hose off rigs, but there is no good way to fake vehicle extrication and vehicle fires. Some departments try doing like Jenga and stuff, but it doesn't even come close to getting practice on the real thing. Another thing that's important to know about vehicle extrication is not one single accident is the same and not one single vehicle. I mean, there's lots of vehicles that are the same, but as far as getting the same wreck with the same kind of vehicles all the time is not going to happen. And so this training is so valuable for us to be able to train on a bunch of different cars, get to try a bunch of different techniques. Because like I said, every wreck is different. Sometimes you have to cut it from back to front, front to back. Sometimes you're taking the whole roof off. And again, there's no way to fake that. We have no way to practice this without people like Winterton Towing. Winterton's being willing to donate these cars to help us train. And so thank you. I'm gonna go through some pictures real quick of some training and then some actual vehicles that we've done some extrication on. So this is us training down at their yard here in South Weber, which is, it's also great that they allow us to train down at their yard. I think it makes it super convenient for us to stay in service, whereas some departments, they have to take crews out of service to go do this training. The fact that we're able to do this in our backyard is huge because we can just send the crew that's on duty down there. And then we always encourage others to even come off duty. And this coming week, we're going to do some training on Monday and Saturday. If you guys want to come down at 10 a.m. on Monday and 10 a.m. on Saturday, if you want to come see what it's like, feel free to come check it out.
It's 10 a.m. Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we'll provide all the safety gear if you want to actually get some cutting or spreading. So there's some pictures of us. This gear's, as some of you know that were around when we purchased this gear, it's not cheap either. And so we do try to make sure that even when we're training that we're putting out tarps and stuff to make sure we're taking good care of our gear. And they've even been great at bringing the cars to us, and that's always been super convenient too. Let's see. So one thing we do in the fire service is we don't call it removing the patient from the vehicle. We call it moving the vehicle from around the patient. We can literally, with the equipment we have, bend one of these vehicles in half and have. We do all sorts of cool training, live fire training. And again, here's some pictures of actual wrecks that we've been on here in our area, where we've had to extricate people or help get people out. This one was actually a good friend of mine. I don't think you'd care if I use his name, Cody Dayton. This was a while ago. But anyways, this is a lot of what we do. We do a lot of training on skills that we're never going to use. I shouldn't say never, but come on. We train on cutting holes in people's throats so they can breathe. We train on all sorts of stuff that we never use. This is actually something that, again, is hard to get training on without the help of partners like the Wintertons, but that we actually use every year. And so with all that being said, thank you so much to Winterton Towing Automotive for all your years of supporting South Weber Fire Department and South Weber citizens. And we'd like to present this plaque to you guys. And we appreciate the partnership that we have. If you guys want to come up.
Hold on, you got to smile too.
You gotta take.
Just a minute, we're having a picture.
You want a picture of me with the mustache, you can go get off now. Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Equipment, if you guys want to try lifting it real quick. You can see
It's
how
heavy.
It actually is
It's way heavy.
to cut through cars, so we'll leave that there. So you want to come? Do you guys mind real quick?
Oh, I want to try.
You want to try?
Yeah, can I use it on the desk here or is that? It'll work on the desk.
I think the mayor would have a problem with that.
Yeah, I'll just not allow that one.
Yeah.
I'll give you their-
That really is battery operated?
Really?
Wow.
That's why you won't start.
Oh, I was ready to go.
I'm gonna dip out for that. Stand back, let's go.
I don't know if that is. Oh.
We'll come in and.
Come on. You could probably lift.
Yes, not actually.
We don't want to break.
You'd have back problem.
We tried to be. Not only can we use her.
Spread car apart, but we can actually go through cut the car.
You know what?
I'm doing Chris.
Joe, I think Angie's tougher than me, so I'm not.
So have you guys been able to practice on electrical vehicles yet, or fake it somehow?
We haven't had an electric vehicle here that we've trained on yet, but, we've had, platinum training on how to handle those, making sure we're not cutting through high voltage lines or through veins. One thing we practiced a lot on. Obviously, there's still vehicles from the sixties, seventies, eighties up to today. And nowadays, one of the biggest hazards we have is electrical vehicles. And then the other issue we have that, and again, why it's so important to get hands-on training is there are so many airbags in vehicles.
Mhm.
And if you cut through one of those canisters, it will blow up in your face and hurt you. And so one thing we train a lot on is removing all the trim and making sure we're not cutting through all those airbags, because it is not fun when one of those blows up in your face. So yeah, that's why again, the training's so important to know how, okay, now I need to check everywhere for airbags, because now they're down by the knee.
yeah.
And you got the curtain ones, and it's just, they're all over the place, and they're a real hazard for us.
Yeah.
So.
That's amazing. When I first started driving at 16, I was scared to death that if I got into an accident, they wouldn't be able to get in if I had the doors locked. So I always drove with the doors unlocked, and I guess that wasn't a concern I really should have had. But I do want to say, a lot of times as a city, we look to all of the new businesses and get really excited when we have, new partners coming into the city, new commercial, new everything like we've got tonight. I think that it sometimes shadows those companies like yourselves that have been here forever and that have supported our city and has grown with the city. So thank you very much.
Brandon, sure.
I know this is mainly from the fire department, but I also wanted to recognize Winterton for their help. Just recently, we, as you know, we resurfaced the park and ride lot. And in order to do that, you can imagine, it's very difficult to do it with cars in there, trying to put up notification to everybody to make sure that they're out. We tried that, but we knew that the day was coming and they would need to have that parking lot empty. And so Winterton was ready to go. They ended up towing, I don't remember how many, five cars. And it was super simple because people could just go get their car down the street from where they had left it. But it was nice to just kind of have a partner in them. And they made themselves available and ready. And so nice to have them in town.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Wintertons, for all
Thank
you
you.
do for the city. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
And thank you to our fire department. We've got a tremendously good fire department. We're proud of them. We're happy for them. We appreciate all that they do, the training that they take and the risks that they take and everything that they do for our community. And I hope that our community really realizes the sacrifices that these guys do make. And when you see them, let them know that you appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Our next item is our consent agenda. We need to approve our August 22nd minutes. Someone would like to make a motion on that?
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, the conditional use permit 24-02 Young Quick Lube. Any discussion on this conditional use permit or?
Lance, would you like to describe what's going on with it and
Give a high overview
anything from
and,
PC?
No, I'm actually, I'm running for office here locally.
This is Michael Lambert. Me too.
So, yes, so this is a conditional use permit for a minor automotive repair services where it would fall into our land use table. It's gonna be Young Tire and Service, tire and lube service. And Also, the ATV or sports equipment rental at this location.
Really?
So they.
Yeah.
They had an initial concept that, as we discussed it with the planning commission, it came out that, well, actually, we're gonna use that area for some display of
Yeah.
all-terrain vehicles, and we might, use this office to rent them, and so the part of the planning commission discussion was expanding the use there.
Part of the discussion is whether they would have a bunch of long-term vehicles and why they had so much parking. There's a big parking on this kind of the northwest side.
Yeah.
That they talked about displaying ATVs and stuff for rent there. So that was one of my questions I wanted to clarify that with Steve. But obviously Steve's not here, so, okay.
Yeah, so, and as we went through this, we were trying to get to a conditional use and site plan, going through those together. But the details and the complications, especially with the ADA and the pedestrian requirements for those accesses and where we're gonna put the crosswalk and how we're gonna do it. There's some significant details that still need to be ironed out. And so we have those as conditions of approvals. They're all in the city engineer Brandon's memo of different issues that are outlined, that's attached in the report. But we also, at this point, we wanted to give them at least, yes, the use is permitted, but we need to iron out the site plan details, and that's another section of the code. We don't necessarily have to do them together, but they wanted this so that they could just keep feel good about their continued investment and going forward with that process. So they will have a lot to iron out. As you see, we have 9 conditions of approval, meeting the engineer site plan requirements, adjusting the sidewalk location. We want to address the CMU walls. Right now, they're just showing a flat gray CMU. And that's a prominent corner for the city. It's a gateway. We've asked them as a condition of approval to do something to modify that so that it's got some texture, it's got some breakup of that color. And that'll be ironed out in the site plan. We need approval letters from the gas easement holders, cross-access easement with the property owner to the south, which was all part of that, the dermatology clinic. They have a tire storage area on the northeast corner that was originally, at least the initial site plan showed it as chain link. We've asked for that to be a masonry wall, 8 feet tall.
Was it discussed how tall that was? I never could figure out or see how.
I think it was only 6 feet on the site plan, but the condition approval would be an 8 foot tall.
Does it say 8 feet on there?
Yeah.
I just thought masonry, sorry.
Yeah, I've got that on there. And then the site lighting be reduced at the property lines, verified that that is gonna happen. And there was some parking in front of the access road to the gas substation that needs to be removed. And the landscaping area along South Weaver Drive is actually in the UDOT right of way, public right of way. We need to work out their approval and make sure they're okay with what's being put in there. And if not, those trees need to be on the property itself. I think we can do a lot with masonry walls to hide a lot of stuff. And then the landscaping will help that to be a good looking site. The applicant, Steve Pearson, did not have any issues with any of these at the time. At the planning commission meeting, he was like, yeah, sure, we'll do that stuff. And the planning commission recommended approval with these additional items.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I was in that meeting, and I had also, part of the planning commission motion was, which I would suggest adding to the end of these conditions, is meeting the conditions set forth in Brandon's review of September 6th and as well as Lance's report of 12 September, just to make sure everything's covered.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
What was the date on Brandon?
Brandon, you have anything you want to chime in on? You good? Council, any questions?
So, and I listened remotely to that meeting, but there's there was a lot of discussion. Went back and forth to start with, and I think a lot of them were asking for an 8-foot masonry wall around the two sides of the property, and then it went from just around the tire storage. And then some people were talking about it around the whole thing. And I drove over there. I mean, I just want to make sure everybody's okay that they're talking about leaving the current fence that's there
At the property line.
at the property line.
The only 8 foot
There's not
fence
much of
around-
a fence going that east to west. And so I just want to make sure everybody's okay with that
That's
being,
by 89.
that 89 and by South Weaver Drive, that's just what's there. It's not a new 6-foot fence. It's not a new masonry wall. It's not. I mean, and I know planning commission went back and forth on what they were going to ask for. I think
that was a lot of
there was
clarification.
cross of like what was being asked for by a 6 or an 8-foot masonry wall.
Yeah.
Originally, some of them thought it was going around the whole entire property. But it was just, it's not, it's just around the tire enclosure, and I just want to make sure everybody's okay with that. But is that fence there in good enough shape?
Sorry?
I was just asking, is that fence in good enough shape that it shouldn't be replaced? I mean, it's been there a long time and it's taken a lot of abuse in what's going on right now.
Certainly could be added as conditional approval, or I think we would do that in the site plan plus.
Well, that's what, that was kind of my question, is some of this site plan, no, I mean, obviously, normally these are going together, but can we make those additions? If we don't say you gotta put a new fence in now, but when we do the site plan review, we gotta tell them they gotta put a new fence in?
The site plan would cover that.
Okay, then I'm okay with that.
Jamie, is that, so we'll be able to have the same authority and power to enforce fence all the way around it, or a new fence or anything like that during the site plan, if it's listed, even if it doesn't match code currently?
Fencing, if it's one of the conditions in the conditional use permit.
Okay.
And you'd have to add that to make sure. that
Yeah.
it's in-
Force it at the time of the site.
Okay. That's what I thought.
I just drove over there. It's just not much of a fence. at
No.
the moment.
Is that
So,
fence controlled by UDOT though, and not the? Would you have to get UDOT approval or?
well, but we've had people put it down. I mean, we made the RV park put a masonry wall down Utah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
well, that's kind of
Since I
what I
don't have
think would look really nice too, but it's a
Well, but I
lot
think-
to ask. That type
Yeah.
of a thing.
Well, by looking over at the large parking lot they have though, I think they're counting on being very visible
Visible.
down there.
I'm sure they
And-
want to be.
Yeah, so having a large, an 8-foot masonry wall without any visibility through it. I can just see right there in the corner, kind of like down in Centerville, the International dealership. Seeing a Range Rover sitting on a big hill right there in the corner so that everybody can see. Here's the 4x4s they've got, here's the snowmobiles, motorcycles, everything, because if it's anything like the one that they have down in Centerville, it's quite impressive, all of the display they have around it, so, but they sell only that there.
This isn't that big.
No. I'm surprised
They just finished one in Morgan.
Uh-huh.
That's, no, that was a bigger one, huh? In Morgan.
No,
they were talking about.
The Morgan one isn't, because
Oh,
the
it
Morgan, it only has 3 of the bays that I
Okay.
saw. Am I thinking of the wrong one? Because there's the 2 right there at the
Oh.
off ramp.
I think
And-
Steve indicated that the
That was
Morgan
what?
one, they would service larger,
Heavy,
Trucks
heavy
and-
maintenance
yeah,
stuff.
heavy-
Sorry, yeah.
heavy machinery
Yeah, that was.
versus
wrong.
here is just intended to just be,
Yeah, they have a-
passenger vehicles and trucks.
Yeah, they have a tractor one up there that's in that same building that they use, and it's a full 2-story empty, kind of like a
Okay.
pole barn. But
The fence, just to answer that question, the fence on both South Weaver Drive and the on-ramp would be UDOT's fence. If you felt like you wanted to, make a condition to add a fence there, you'd just be putting it, right in front of
Inside
their
theirs.
fence. Cause
Cause isn't the UDOT, the one's not even a chain link fence.
yeah, there's not much of a fence there.
There's not
I
much of
think
a fence there.
The question
That's
is
what I'm asking.
visibility, if you want it to be screened versus if you want it to be open. I think that's what that's the condition that you're trying to mitigate, right?
And I was
Yeah.
kind of asking everybody's opinion, cause it kind of didn't get addressed as soon as we said it wasn't gonna be a masonry wall. They just said, oh, it's gonna be I heard, as I went back and listened again, they said, oh, it's gonna be a chain link fence. So some of them thought it was gonna be a chain link fence, but it's not. It's a barbed wire fence.
Yeah, just a field
It's a
fence.
UDOT fence.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Field fence with a couple of strands of barbed wire on the top is what it is, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not
Is
like
there
the
a
new
difference
fence we're
in the
getting down
city
at the
code
RV one.
along I-84 with the masonry fence versus?
Yeah, on 84, we required a masonry fence.
Yeah.
But I
84,
mean,
but
what-
it doesn't, the code doesn't
Is there
specifically list 89.
Is
It
there
doesn't.
anything that's gonna be unsightly that we would want to hide behind the fence other than the tires? So then,
Not to
not,
my,
not that I can
Not-
think of.
you know, and I can't remember the commissioner's name, I'm sorry. But he runs a similar type service station, and he was worried that this may change to a full service station someday.
Yeah.
And then would you have something unsightly there? But this conditional use, we'd have to reestablish that with a new owner, wouldn't we?
Not with
No.
ownership, but with a change of use.
Change of use, you would, yeah.
If it's a true, yeah, as long as we, other than we don't clarify what light
Well,
service is.
The conditional.
Well, it is in the
use
code.
Would, the conditional use would
It says
remain
in
in
the code.
place,
Okay,
even though the change in ownership might change.
Right.
So if there's things like that that you wanted to, you know, put in the conditional use, then maybe that would help later.
And this is for minor auto service. We have major or minor in defining.
we do have it defined.
Yep.
Okay, I just know that was another discussion at the end of the meeting. That's why they were thinking it was not defined.
And this is minor. Okay. Yeah.
Well, we need more than a field fence there. I think.
Well, I would think to, if I was improving this on my property, I think I would want more attractive fence. Than
Yeah.
just, even if it was a chain link, you can see through it.
Well,
If that's their purpose, but yeah, I don't think. they-
Well, and that's-
Sorry.
But I don't know.
I was just gonna say, listening to the PC, it almost didn't seem like they really had all of the uses of what they were going to be doing and planning on it. They thought this was just going to be the simple, you know, pass it through, because it was at the PC meeting that we saw or heard from them that they were going to be selling vehicles also, or at least displaying them and maybe selling them at another place.
Renting them.
Yeah. When you look at the layout of this, though, this is supposed to be, according to what they originally said, lube service. You can see tire and tire rotation. So these are things that really should be in and out inspections. My guess would be any simple repairs that would be part of, you know, the warranty or something that they needed to bring it back in for. But it's really not made for really being able to have a full shop there. I mean, I don't see much by way of the tool area and everything. So I think it really is just going to be a small in and out lube. But the parking over to the other side, I mean, that has as many, if not, well, it actually has more parking stalls than the building for the lube and service. So I'm just still kind of wondering if we've heard, because we heard from the developer of it, or no, the architect. He was the architect. I really do kind of question when that corner is, if that is just going to be kind of display, and I'm not against that. I mean, it's in code, we have it for commercial highway. It can be major repair, minor repair, or car sales. So I would just like to know what really the intent of that is, and I think that would influence whether I push for a big fence along that side over there, or if we give them the opportunity so that people can see what vehicles are being showcased, because there's no way that we've got that kind of weight just to get your oil fixed or your oil changed.
Well, yeah. Even it's down.
I'm sure it would be.
It is a chain link. It is a chain link fence. Looking at it on Google Earth, so.
Yeah.
It is,
It's there
it is a chain link fence that I can see. At least before.
Well, where all of the campaign signs, that's chain link fence.
And you can see that it's shorter than around the gas
Yeah,
deal,
yeah.
so. So it might be a 4 foot or something. Unless that's 8 feet.
I bet that's it.
Might be 8 feet. I mean, you're gonna see down in it anyway from on the street, so.
Well, I like the masonry fence. I think it looks nice.
Well, if that's something that can be addressed during the site plan review,
Well, he said Jamie said we have to have it in the conditional use.
okay, then let's do it.
Mason.
Wayne, what do you think?
Specifically about the fence, I had another item. I think a masonry fence is gonna block the view. I think something 4 foot and lower would be nice, better than a field fence, but if you're talking 6 foot, 8 foot high fence, I don't think that's appropriate for what's going on there. I think something that's visible, but something that works 4 foot and beyond. You can do split rail, you can do something different that's better than a field fence.
So looking at this on Google Earth, if they truly are using these property lines, you can see into it.
Yeah, it's a 6 foot.
The elevation of those streets is higher than the.
Yeah. From
Then
South
the
River Drive,
parking.
looking down it, yeah.
Mhm. So you will have visibility into it. To me, it's almost trimming that entrance.
At
Anything
6
else?
foot or something, to me, you're blinding off. Even though you're looking down, you still got that blind corner, right? To me, it's something you want to see through. To me, it's just delineating a boundary. But you're just delineating from road to property, but yet you can still see what's on the property. My question goes to, and maybe that's why I like an open fence. My question goes to this display corner for rentals. But if they sell it, do we get the sales tax dollar per point of sale? Or if they're selling it from their side, do they get the sales tax? But they're doing the advertising on our property. Do we get any benefit from that? But should we?
We should.
Yeah, we absolutely should.
Short answer, if it's sold at your location, you should get the sales tax.
Yeah, we're a point of sale
Where's the point of-
county, but if it goes to,
They're
if
advertising.
they
there, but
advertise
the-
here and it goes there, it was mainly for rentals is what I took it as. And so the rentals would have to go through here and the tax would go through here. But I took it that way. I'm
Yeah.
interpreting that
Yeah.
way. And I thought it was more for rentals than sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how far you want me to unpack the law and sales tax, because it gets a
goes
little
deep.
bit complicated, but if it's purchased here, as long as it's delivered within the state, then the sales tax typically remains with the city where the point of sale is located. You can do things online now and, have sales transactions occur in different ways. But if they're physically coming to that location, that's where they're making the purchase, then that's where the sales tax would go.
Another point, and I think it was brought up during the PC meeting as well. So I'm looking at the Google Maps layout of it, and where roughly is the exit? Because we've got two exits, and I thought I heard there, neither one of these are, put in there except they're on the map. So we've got one that would exit directly across from the Maverick / car wash. And then we have another one that would exit directly at the back of the car wash.
It's the southernmost exit that it
Okay.
ends up with.
So it's the one at the back of the car wash then?
Correct.
Okay.
No. It goes all the way back there?
Yes,
Okay.
that's why we did the master plan for this.
Well, I think,
Here's Maverick and here's the girl.
yeah.
So-
This is farther south.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we want.
That's right. It's the other one off the dermatology building.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's only one access right now for both of those uses onto 2700. The dermatology will have another one further south, but whatever happens with that intersection right now, its master plan is a roundabout. It'd basically be those two locations.
Right.
Okay. So we're talking across from the back of the car wash and across from 7800. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Was there any discussion why the building is at the back versus at the front where we've got the retaining pond. I know that it's usually more appealing to have the building up front with all of the parking in the back. So you're not just looking at a lot of parking lot. I know it's can't fit up in a small corner up there, but I was just wondering if there was any discussion or any reason why.
There's a large petroleum easement that covers the majority of that ground.
Oh, okay.
So that their choice of where to put the building was their choice.
Yeah.
It wasn't guided or directed by staff in any way.
Okay. The only other thing that I did want to talk about was whether we have to in city code or whether in here we need to put it so that if we do not want overnight parking, because if this is just minor repair, there's no reason for overnight parking. If they're pulling an engine, that's now major repair. And that would make it so that a car would have to stay overnight. Is that a code issue or is that a cup issue?
You would put it in the CUP.
Okay.
That would be an appropriate standard to say if they're not doing major repair, that you would restrict the storage of vehicles or parking overnight.
Just to clarify, you're talking about outside the building, overnight parking. If they had vehicles that could be picked up, they could park it in a bay. That would be okay.
Yeah, yeah. So no overnight outdoor parking.
Just to clarify, I think I said standard, but I meant condition, that you would put that as a condition within the CUP.
Okay.
And just to clarify, we're talking about the cars being worked on, not the storage cars or all-terrain vehicles that they might have in the other lot or whatever.
Right. And that's why I put it down as client.
Somebody they would pull those in.
I would think any ATV, they would pull in somewhere overnight. Don't they?
They don't in Centerville, which surprises me.
They really don't.
Not all of them, but
Wow.
most of their places they do.
Yeah.
But the one in Centerville is surprised they actually leave a good, every morning they're already out.
Yeah, they've already taken the ignition out of them. Not that I checked. Do we know where the sign's going to be put? I know this is just in the weed stuff right now, but it's a level 5 sign that we have, so I just didn't know. We'll have to deal with that during the other. Okay, that's all I had.
Wayne, you have anything else?
I appreciate the level of effort that was put into the preparation of the packet, what PC did. It's very comprehensive. And no, I don't have any.
I thought PC did a very good job. I think to Andrew's point, I kind of like a masonry fence on that north and east side. It doesn't have to be a block. It could be a simple masonry. I think it dresses up the entrance to the city.
Yep, that's
I mean,
what I think.
I think the other ones did down by Riverside, like a 6 foot. It doesn't have to be, I mean, they're gonna see over it. They're gonna see everything in there anyway, but it dresses up the entrance coming in. I think it would be very nice. Like the one down at the Riverside place did, that across from the general RV, I think that it's very clean looking. Whether that's puts them over the top or not, and they don't accept that, then they can say no. And come back to.
Which sides did you say that was?
That would be the north and the east. I think that leaves the whole other, everything else open and you can still see into the whole thing.
Would that require modifications to the landscape plan? Because some of those plants aren't going to see any sun.
And that would possibly, I guess that's all part of that site plan review, and maybe they could come back and we can talk about it. But I after seeing the price on those they're not excessive. This isn't like a big block wall. It's more of the masonry like we've asked other developers to do.
I just feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't ask for it. This is it truly is the entrance to our city.
Yes. I agree.
And you may want to give them examples so that they don't get scared about a price of it, because I don't think it's been astronomical of what we had Sunray, Riverside, all those other ones do. 6 foot.
Um,
I mean, and maybe it goes to 4 or something, but a 6 isn't that tall when you're looking at that end of the property. I think the bank's probably 10 or 12 feet tall or more. It might even be 20 feet tall. It's a big bank. It's more of an aesthetics thing than it is hiding. You're still gonna see the tires from the road down in their thing.
Opened. It needs to be opened back so you can see traffic.
see, I'm good with
That's
that about
another
halfway.
nice-
Mhm.
We need to drop it down, don't you think, or something here so that
Mhm.
you can see more around that corner?
So that's what I was saying is about halfway to about where the tree is, or especially past the
Somewhere, yeah.
gas stuff. Yeah, somewhere right around there. And then if we wanted to drop it, like you said, down to a 4 or something, I'd be fine with that. I just want to give them the best chance to be successful.
Yeah.
I
But it's
bet
gotta
you
look nice.
it's a long way back from the corner.
Is it?
I mean, it's clear down there.
That's
But
my only,
if it's a line of sight issue, then
that's what I'm.
not a big deal.
That's my
I
concern.
don't, we can't change it
You
now.
mean-
If we, you can't ask for it later if we
Yeah.
don't put it in the CUP now.
I think he means the other corner by math.
Oh, by Maverick? You're
right?
talking this corner down there? Down not by,
Yeah,
is what, at 2,700 or whatever? that-
2,700.
Yeah, that could be for line of sight for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to block that off. And I don't have a problem even if it comes up halfway and they change it to something else. It still dresses up that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
I'm
You
laughing
okay?
because that's what we just said. It's okay, Blair, we're at city council.
Okay, we all have to agree. So, Jamie, is there a way to be able to put that into the cup so that we have the wall, but the determining height of it may be adjusted? Or do we need to spell out exactly the height of it?
You don't have to spell out the height necessarily. You could allow that to be determined with the site plan review.
Okay.
Just indicate where you want the wall, and then you'll want in the condition to point to the reason for that condition. And what I'm hearing is its relationship to adjacent property, and that you want it to be aesthetic and pleasing as
Okay.
as you see it. It's not intended for security or for sightline or to hide visually what's behind the fence.
Blair, just clarification, you were referring to something, but you said dressing up the corner. Is that the northeast corner, northwest corner? Thank you.
I put on there just masonry fence on the northeast side of the property.
Okay.
To be determined.
I just didn't know which corner you were referring to.
Yeah.
And that would help cover that, what is that? Is that gas?
Yeah,
or-
the pump or,
Or
I guess that's-
electrical, what is that? The
It's a gas
utility-
one, but
the
yeah.
Utility area.
Okay, someone ready to make a motion? Blair?
Note taker?
No.
well, a lot of them are underneath with the PC recommendations. I don't know if we wanted to just be able to include those in the motion.
Mayor, I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit 2402 for Young Quick Lube. Do we need to state planning commission right there, they said, with, for rental, because that wasn't part of this, but do we need to add that? I think any clarification, okay.
Quick Lube
Quick
and
Lube for light or minor repairs and rentals. With the recommendations from the planning commission, Brandon Jones' review letter of 9/6. Lance Evans' report and review letter of what was the date?
12 September.
12 September. And with no outdoor parking overnight. And with the masonry fence on the north and the east side of the property to be determined on the site plan review.
Do you want the height of the masonry fence?
That will be determined on the site plan.
So the masonry fence on the,
North and east.
on north and east. And then what else? What was after the fence?
That was it. North and the east, we determined with the site plan review.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Gilbert and Stewart audit proposal. Any questions on this item? I think it's a good thing to have myself.
This came before the Admin Finance Committee, and given the turnover of staff, it was felt that our current auditor would be most helpful, being the city's internal auditor, to help set up the audit, and then we hire a third party to actually perform the audit for us. And that's what this is based upon. So staff went out, got multiple quotes, were found comfortable with the lowest quote. Happens to be the former auditor prior to KNC. Doing our current auditor. So I think it was a good move on behalf of staff. It was actually recommended by our auditor to help us out that way. Gives a chance, it's a one-off. It's a chance for our staff to learn in preparation for future audits.
Mr. Balthazar, any thoughts on this?
No, I just was working with, I actually have been working with a little bit with KNC right now. And it's been a night and day difference of things that I wasn't aware of. So it's good that we're going down this route. And I'm taking notes like no other. So next year we don't have that one-time internal. We don't have to hire a third party to do the internal accounting.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we know the amount?
Yeah, 15,000.
15?
15,000.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it.
Mayor, I recommend approval of awarding audit services to Gilbert and Stewart in the amount of $15,000.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
One clarification to that motion, that it's just for the fiscal year 2024 audit.
With that,
With that, Angie, you could.
including that, Michelle, did you get
And
that?
then who seconded that?
Joel.
Joel did.
Oh, I did.
For the 2024, you said 24, 25?
2024 fiscal year
Fiscal year 24,
2024
thank you.
audit.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
That's it. Go to new business. Anyone have any new business? Our city manager, Dave Larson, is at a conference in Pittsburgh, I believe it is. So he's missing tonight. We excuse him. Minnesota. Okay. Anyone have any new business? Let's go to council reports then. Start with Blair. Do you want to start this time?
I will have to defer to the mayor because he made the last public works meeting.
So we had some good news come from that.
We did, but I'll let you report when you on that.
You read the minutes, didn't you? 'Cause
No,
don't remember.
I did not read the minutes.
The first good item was that they finally got with Rocky Mountain Power, and Rocky Mountain Power guaranteed that we would have a transformer on site in March.
Very good.
Hallelujah.
So,
That's fantastic.
yeah, that's the best news that came out.
But that wouldn't happen if we didn't stay on. So
Yeah,
way to go, Angie.
Thank you.
so that's going, everything is moving forward. I believe that they're real close to some of their the items that they needed were back. I think they're real close to getting started on the material storage first. And then they says they may either start them together or start the vehicle. But within that one, I think during that meeting, I think they said like 2 weeks, so we've only got about,
And we will have a schedule
should be
update
about any time.
tomorrow.
yeah.
We're meeting every other week, so tomorrow we'll have a schedule update.
Yeah.
So,
And that's all I can think of, isn't it? You think of anything else
Nope.
on that?
and that's all I had to
Last
report.
thing was the transformer, so building is due to be here in January,
Yes.
and they said by January they would have all of the concrete work in and be ready to start erecting that building, so it's looking good. Angie, you got anything?
I have nothing to report today.
Well,
I've got a couple, code committee, we still haven't met yet, but I've gone through and made some draft code to bring to the committee and see what they like on it. The first one is on the commercial zones that we have around here and the nuisance weeds that are 2-3 feet tall along the sidewalks. I wanted to ask the council if we're looking at putting it by the commercial and commercial highway zones, so we stay out of the residential, but and probably industrial. But the question is, are we looking at covering, say like we have areas where we have a lot that has no landscaping being done whatsoever. It's just wild vegetation, if you want to call it that. It becomes a mess. And if we have it at a developer or a builder while they're building a home in the area, we have them go on and clear off the weeds of it. That's part of theirs, especially if it's around the corner and things. Do we want to work that on the commercial side the same way? Or do we just want them to take care of finished sidewalks? One's a lot easier for them to maintain and I think a lot easier for us to enforce. The other one is we're talking about whole lots of land. And while looking at Layton and I think it was Kaysville who have direct ties where they quote the Wildfire Association, International Association, which requires that if there's any commercial land that butts up to a quote unquote wildfire hotspot, that they have to take care of it to the point of bringing the weeds down to just a few inches, just to mitigate that danger or risk. We have one of those, for an example, just on 2100 East and South Weber Drive. And as we should all recognize, further down that road on South Weber Drive is a large piece of land that the city owns that's in the same condition. So I'm bringing it to the council to see if you guys have any thoughts on it, whether we just want to look at the sidewalk, which as you can drive by the pit, you can see a lot of those are 3, almost 4 feet tall. And we have a lot of them going down South Weber Drive where you can kind of see the same thing. So just what's your input? Thoughts?
Well, I mean, we need to think about it because we currently don't mow our entire piece. We mow it 10 feet back, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not positive that Mark or someone would have to answer that question. But we don't mow our own property that way. So I mean, in most cities, UDOT, they mow it so far back just to keep it from the sparks and that. Could we get it out 30 feet? Maybe, but I don't know the answer to your question. I mean, personally, if where they're on a main road, it would be nice to have them all kept, but it's not. I don't know that that's feasible to ask a property owner to do that completely. Like trash is different than grass and weeds though. Or
There's definitely a cost
construction
to it,
debris
yeah.
or all those kind of things. That is different. That should be maintained. Because they're using the property for something.
Would you recommend 10 feet back? That like UDOT has to take
Derek,
care of it?
how far back should it go? Let me defer, Derek. You're supposed to know it.
As far as
For fire.
So like
Fire.
2100 and South Weber Drive. We have the big open lot. And all it is just dry grass that goes right up to the foothills, up to the hill that goes both ways. That has always been a big fire danger.
I don't disagree. It's a fire danger. I can't think of anything specifically in code that says how many feet it
Well,
has to be.
It doesn't. That's what we're
I don't
looking
know.
right at.
And so I think it's wise to keep it mowed. Ironically enough, the one along 84 this year happened while they were mowing.
Mhm.
To keep it back. They ran over some metal and started that fire by mowing. So I mean, I can do some more digging, but
Well, and
I
that's
don't
that's
wanna
the
give
that's
an
the catch
exact
22.
answer.
Mhm.
You go to some areas like in Medford, we were just left, no, they wouldn't allow mowing anywhere. It was so dry. So everywhere was tall,
Yeah.
including property, homes they weren't allowing to mow. So I don't know how far you go with that. That's a
Yeah.
slippery
Right.
slope.
And then you mentioned like wildland code, like I could show you the URAP maps if you want, but depending on what map you use, basically our whole city is WUI. So that creates another slippery slope of picking and choosing when and where and how you're going to enforce that. And that would ultimately become part of code
Yeah.
enforcement.
But I definitely think it should be the sidewalks maintained for sure. I
I do
mean,
too.
Okay.
Sidewalks and the
Right.
minimum 10 feet back, I think it should be.
Okay.
that's a little easier probably to enforce.
Angie, any
I mean-
thoughts? Oh, sorry.
One other thing to consider too is just being careful on like the hillsides. If you remove too much vegetation, now you've created a slide issue. We dealt with that before here in town where people actually did some wood chipping and covered a hillside. Well, it killed all the vegetation underneath, and then next thing you knew, the hill was sliding. So
Yeah.
it's a double-edged sword as far as hazards.
It might not mention too, we might to, if the mowing needs to be mowed while it's green and not, probably time of year or while vegetation is green or something like, because we don't want to start a fire like they did down there.
So mow before it's dry.
And
Okay, good idea. Wayne?
I'll just add to the conversation that sidewalks are a public easement. And that's why I think for the public's benefit, that needs to be kept back from the sidewalk. Now, go down to dirt, no, mow it down to 4 inches or
Yeah.
something like that's reasonable, and a reasonable distance behind it. I think is keeping the public and the public easement safe.
Okay. Don't want to go into the same detail, but we're doing the same kind of thing on some of the fire hazards and looking at what we need to do to protect them in the commercial zones. One that has come up a couple of times on city council, and I've actually written some code from to require a site/sketch plan with a rezone. Some cities have it, some cities don't. I know that we've talked a bunch of times about having a rezone presented without any idea of what was going to go there or when or how.
I agree with it wholeheartedly, but some people may say your code better be written good enough to take whatever comes, but I agree with the sketch plan, especially if they're asking for a rezone outside of our general plan.
Mhm. Anyone else? Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all for code. Thank you for your input on it. Secondly, the rec department, we're trying again some ways to be able to make more money and to kind of counterbalance the cost of the family activity center and whatnot. We just finished up almost finished up a great soccer tournament that's been going on for all the ages. And we're looking at now being able to sell our own water, monster drinks, protein and protein bars at the activity center. We're just going to try a test run, see if the people that were there or the people that come would have any interest in picking up a couple at that time. If they do, it's not going to, drastically change the budget, but at the same time, it would be a service to those that attend and also kind of mildly handle some of the costs with it. So we're excited to see how that starts and if people really do want to participate in it. And then finally, the parks, we're getting close to when we are going to be shutting off the bathrooms We're about a month away, so public just needs to keep that in mind. That's it.
Fine.
Nothing to report with regards to committees, but I do want to do a shout out to the public who did the day of service in the community. All the projects that were executed, if that's the right word, or embarked upon. Just a general shout out to everyone. Thank you for the service to the city.
I agree. That was great.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
That was
all
really
that
good.
hard work. Okay, Lance, you have anything? Might be worth mentioning that at the Central Weaver Sewer District Board meeting last week, South Weaver came and presented the RDA and that passed, so their sewer board will participate in that, so, or the district, so that's one hurdle for the general RV. Lance?
And just, we're going to go forward with to the county, to the school district, who will be the big requests.
Yeah.
Those are on our- We're trying to get into their schedule, the review, they're gonna review the CRA, and then have a meeting.
Don't forget mosquito abatement.
Yes, come in after you're done with the county.
Okay, seeing nothing else, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Wayne, everybody waited for you that time and it wasn't like, boom.
And introduce yourself. Thanks, Mayor. I was at the mayor's luncheon and so you should. Yeah, I did. Good to see you again. Yeah, that was a big competitive build.
Blair? Blair?
Yeah.
What did the mayor say?
Yeah.
Central Weaver Water District?
Approved the RDA agreement.